they are. Oh, there you are. Look, they've got Spider-Man on. Ready, go, 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 go. Okay, welcome to Brine TV. It's a bit colder today on the election trail than it has been for the last few weeks, but we're here at a Montessori nursery in Hursley. Now this is an issue that we've covered a lot over the last 3 and a bit years since I've been the candidate here, which is the whole issue of early years nursery provision, and I'm delighted that Maria Miller, who's standing to be the Basingstoke MP again and Shadow Families Minister, has come to visit me today. Maria, what is the issue that we've come to highlight here today at this nursery?
There's a real problem with the funding of the early years free entitlement for 3 and 4-year-olds, and I think what we've heard here today is that Labour has just kicked the issue into the long grass. What we want to have is a solution where more of the money that will fund the early years free entitlement actually gets through to the people who are providing the places. Early years education is vitally important, and at the moment it is not getting the funding that it needs.
Now, David Cameron said that we want to produce, and we have produced, the most family-friendly manifesto on record, and I think we have done that. So what can we promise local parents, if we get in?
Well, what we want to have is the most family-friendly country in Europe, and that will be 4,200 extra Sure Start health visitors working out of our Sure Start centres, making them even more effective at supporting families in the early years. It's about putting in place more flexible working so that families can better balance their home life and their family life. And it's a new way of approaching paternity and maternity leave by having shared parental leave, so families can actually make the decision themselves as to who takes that parental leave in those really important first few months after the birth of a child.
Yeah.
All of this is a really new way of thinking about families, and I think it's something that Winchester families will find very exciting indeed.
And just finishing back with the nursery provision, because from my point of view as a Winchester MP, if I get elected, I want parents, and I'm a young parent here myself, she's 2.5, so she's going into the early years stuff in the next few years. I want parents to have some certainty, but I also want the providers of nurseries like Susan, who we've been with here today, to have some certainty about her business, because they feel that they're being pushed out of business by Labour's ideological obsession with pushing out a mixed sector in the nursery sector.
Well, here in Hampshire, 80% of our nursery places are provided by voluntary and private providers, so we've got to make it work in Hampshire.
Yeah.
And people like we've met today running nurseries are the backbone of what makes early years education work for us here locally. So what I need to see is a proper, sustainable way of funding the early years free entitlement in place as soon as possible, because businesses like this go out of business quickly. We've seen 400 nurseries go out of business in the last 12 months, and that is creating uncertainty for parents, uncertainty for children, and that's really got to change quickly. Yeah,
and as you can see, the kids behind us here having a wonderful time. And if I get elected as a Winchester MP, Maria, I shall be knocking on your door as the Families Minister to make sure that we do whatever we can as you've set out, and I know that you'll do a fantastic job if we get there.
Well, I hope we're fellow Hampshire MPs together.
We're working on it. Let's go.